All right, what's up, guys? Zach McCarley. We are going to talk about the 2024 Ultimate Strongman World Championships in Fulda, Germany. This is a fantastic opportunity to travel to Germany and get to check it out, get to travel Europe a little bit, get to compete. Right here, you're seeing me hitting the press medley, which was the first of several events on day one. And I believe the log was about 260 to 280. Axle was about 280 to 290. Block was about 240. And then the dumbbell was about 200 pounds. Coming into this, the number to beat was 3 reps on the dumbbell, and you can see I just asked for time. There's a little bit of a language barrier, so I didn't really get a response. I was like, okay, here we go. Decided to crank out 3 reps with the right side, which is actually my weaker side at this time, and then I cranked out 4 reps with my left side. I think the last repetition may not have counted, but not really a big deal. Still got more than enough repetitions. I knew there were still some athletes to go that were really strong. So from this point in the competition, I was like, I just need to put up a good number, nice and steady. You can see that I really took my time into the dumbbell. That was strategic because the points are going to be made on the repetitions on the dumbbell. It doesn't matter if you get to the dumbbell in 20 seconds if you can't get a lot of repetitions with the dumbbell. So kind of pace myself on the log, pace myself on the axle, pace myself on the block, and then really started cranking reps out on the dumbbell itself. This was a 90-second event, so you always got to manage that energy while you're doing that and just be aware of the energy that you're expending and be able to work the entire time. You can see I was credited with 6 repetitions, and that was good enough for first place in that event. Going to the next event, we had the car deadlift. So this was a 370 kilo car deadlift. You can see that it's a little under 800 pounds. You can see that the weight is mostly at the handle. That feels a lot different than when you have the weight behind you. And it was fortunate that I trained about half on a trap bar and then half on an actual car deadlift apparatus, because this felt like something between the two. And this is probably the most direct weight I've had in my hands on a car deadlift. So it wasn't quite as snappy or springy. It felt much more akin to a trap bar deadlift, but in the groove of a car deadlift. So experienced athletes are going to know what I'm talking about. People that aren't familiar with the feeling of that aren't really going to know what I'm talking about. But I believe the number to beat was 12 or 13 at this point. I cranked out enough to squeak out a victory. I was watching Matthew McKeegan because he's a really strong deadlifter off to the left of the screen. I knew I had more repetitions than him, and I knew that I had gotten more repetitions than I needed to win. So exactly as many as I needed to win. I got 14 reps with that. So that was good enough for another first place, setting me up for the frame and sandbag medley really well. Coming into this one, we have a frame that's just under 700 pounds, a first sandbag that is around 280, 290, and then the last sandbag is 330 pounds. Something to note with the frame on this, the handles were inlay on the frame, and that's something you should be aware of when you're competing. If you have a handle that is below the center of mass, then you are going to have a top heavy frame, and it's going to be really tilty. So you can see that I took that about 700 pound frame a little bit more carefully, a little bit more slowly than I would otherwise. I was really trying to balance it in my hands to make sure there were no drops, because I knew at this point all I had to do was carry that second bag all the way to the wall. So I really took my time getting back to the first sandbag. You can see I flexed for the camera a little bit right there. I knew I had plenty of time at this point because I had timed it out in training a couple times. I knew I could walk back. Each of these was 70 feet, so it is a lot of work. It's 210 feet of weighted movement, which is a lot for strongman. And so I just needed to make sure that I could pick this sandbag up and get all the way for maximum points that would tie first place. I wasn't even going to try to load that 330 sandbag over the wall. It was unnecessary, and we did have a stone to shoulder later in the competition, so I wasn't really concerned with exhausting myself on a big load. I just wanted maximum points for this movement. So you can see I carried down that 330 all the way to the wall, and then basically hip check into the wall and give a flex for the crowd. Felt pretty good about that, and it went about as I expected it to. So good enough to tie for first place. And then the next event was a sandbag toss. So this was, if I recall correctly, it was 40, 44 pounds, 44 pounds, 48, or no, I believe it was 40, 44, 48, 48, and then 53 pounds. And in training, I had hit 55 several times, so I knew that this was well within my capability, but it was really about dialing it in, being really precise, and being really quick between transitions. We have some really good sandbag guys in the field right now. You can see that I actually took second on this event. Thomas Owens really he beat me by a second and a half. That's a pretty good stomping in a 5-bag, throwing series. So hats off to him. Took second on that event, and then stone to shoulder. Coming into this, I knew all I had to hit was 4 reps with the lighter stone for maximum points, and realistically, all I needed to hit points wise was just a single repetition with this. So after the first rep, I knew I had locked it up. I really wanted to tie or beat Matthew McKeegan's mark. I can't recall if it was 3 or 4 reps, but I knew I wanted 4 at least, and you can see me crank out 4, and then I go to retack just a little bit. There was an option for a heavier stone, and a fair amount of the athletes decided to take a swing at that for big points. I knew that I just needed a couple repetitions to lock up first place, and so I played it a little bit conservative. After the competition, I did go back. I really wanted to know if I could lift that heavy one because it would have been a PR for me. But after the competition, I came back. I couldn't find the footage, but I did shoulder I want to say it was 160 or 170 kilo. It was in the 340, 350 range, and I did shoulder it. I was really happy about it. It felt really good. I think I took second in this event overall to Tyson Morrissey. I think it's Morrison, but Morrissey, he's a phenomenal stone to shoulder guy. I think he's double the 400-pound stone to the shoulder, which it far exceeds my PR. So hats off to him. Very impressive. Wound up taking first in the competition overall. You can see the podium right there. We're going to get into some photos. Overall, I thought it was an excellent competition and an excellent experience getting to travel and compete in a foreign land. I want to give a big shout out to my dad and stepmom for coming out. Also to Lacey for being there and doing a superb job in supporting me through that experience and into weigh-ins and everything. I also got to coach 2 of my athletes, Alicia and Taylor, through the competition. Alicia won the 80 kilo class. Taylor wound up taking 4th in the 120 kilo class. So it was a really cool experience. We're going to get into some photos for the competition. The photos with blue shirts are from day 1, and then we're going to get into some photos from day 2, which was actually World's Strongest Nation for the 105 and under. America had myself, Johnny Wasiko, which was a 105 Masters who had competed 2 days before, and then 2 excellent 90 kilo guys, Derek Owens and Tyler Davis. Both of them did phenomenal in the 90 kilo class, and we all really put it together on the day of. Long story short, we wound up winning World's Strongest Nation, which was really cool to do with those guys. Fantastic group of guys, really experienced, really good performers. But it was an interesting experience because it was a 7-event competition, and for me, it was the second day straight of competition. My body's electrolytes were playing some games, and I found that after 5 events, I could no longer go on. My back seized up in warm-ups for this load, and we had a decent points lead going into event 6, but I could not compete in event 6 and event 7. And the guys really stepped up. I would say on event 6, I think, on event 5, I think it was a frame medley with a couple other things. And Tyler Davis really just tore through the course. Like, it was really impressive. And he stepped up in a major way. In event 6, Derek and Johnny really stepped up. Johnny took the tire, and Derek wound up loading a 400-pound natural stone, which no one had loaded up to that point. So it was very impressive, especially coming from a 90 kilo guy. So he loaded a double body weight stone to a moderately high excavator bucket, which was really cool. And then in event 7, Derek basically just sold his soul to get enough loads for the team to squeak out a victory by 1 point. So it was really incredible. But I'm going to talk about each event here real quick. In this event, we had a dumbbell and a log next to each other. It was maximum repetitions. Tyler and Derek took the log. I took the dumbbell. Johnny was resetting the dumbbell for me. I recall I wound up getting about 11 repetitions with a 200-pound dumbbell. And then there's the frame carry. You can see Tyler in the back really getting ready to hop in. Those guys were fast on this. There's a second pressing event. It was an axle, a log, a block. I took the block. Derek took the log, if I recall correctly. Or no, sorry, Derek took the axle. You can see him in the background. And then the barbell was taken by Tyler right there. You can see us after the event. A little gassed. The event was moving along pretty well. The weather was warm and humid. It wasn't very sunny, but it was really warm. We had a deadlift where there was a car, there was an axle, there's a barbell. Derek and Tyler took the axle and barbell. I took the car. We cranked out a ton of repetitions. There was a big truck push that you saw, all of us kind of pushing on the back of that. I want to say it was a concrete truck or a fire truck of some kind. And then the two events that didn't have photos were the medley, which was a sandbag carry and load into a 3-stone loading series, and then a tire flip medley. And then the very last one was a stone over bar. These guys stepped up in a huge way. It was awesome to compete with them. And like I said, we wound up squeaking out the contest by 1 point. You can see us getting the trophy here. Johnny got to take that home and put it in his gym. And I think that was fantastic. I think it was awesome. It was wonderful to see Johnny again. Johnny and I have known each other for well over a decade, and we've competed alongside each other. So it was really cool. It was kind of like the old bringing in the new, you know, like Tyler and Derek are a bit younger in their careers, a bit more new to the sport. And then Johnny and I have been in the sport for over 15 years. So it was really cool to get to do that. And we're going to get into some photos of what happened after the competition. You can see a bunch of photos from Paris here. Got to go to the Eiffel Tower. Got to go to the Palace of Versailles. Got to go to the Louvre. Got to check out the, what is it? Gardens de Jourdan or something. But a bunch of different things. It was really cool to see everything. And I will say, when my back seized up, I originally thought it was a kidney stone, and I was in a ton of pain. I fought it for about 2 days, and then I wound up going to the ER and got seen by like 3 specialists, got an ultrasound. I'm sitting in the ER. I had to wait about 45 minutes to get the actual bill afterward. And I was stressing because I was like, hey, this is going to be like really expensive. I was expecting maybe 1,000 euros or something, and got to the cashier's office, and I was sitting there waiting for the bill. I'm like, okay, like, let's do this thing. They hand me the bill, and it was 108 euros. And my jaw just like dropped. I was like, wow, this is less than $200 USD. And you can hear me probably now, I was a little bit speechless. I was just like, yeah, here's the money. Like, gave him the money and like took off, and I was just blown away at how inexpensive it was to receive that kind of care. So that was awesome. Would definitely recommend not going to the ER in a foreign country, but if you got to go to an ER, know that Germany is much less expensive than the United States, so it's not going to break your bank. And then, you know, this is an extra picture, one of my favorites from the trip in Germany, but got to check out Germany, got to check out France, got to check out Luxembourg, got to check out Belgium a little bit. And overall, it was a fantastic experience. It was a lot of fun, and would definitely recommend. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my commentary over the competition and some of the pictures. And if you guys have any comments or questions, leave them in the box below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.